Well, I can start training for the Olympics.
You could.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about time. You better.
I
You're going to
forgot.
have to fast track at this
I
point.
forgot to try out this year for the Olympics. I
forgot.
forgot. I couldn't believe it. And there's so many sports I could have tried out
Oh
for.
my gosh, what would you? Okay. All right. Hang on. What would be your Olympic sport?
Well, I was watching the Olympics and I was intrigued by a few sports.
Mhm.
Yes. But I'm thinking probably the artistic swimming.
Artistic swimming.
Yes.
Okay.
Now I'd have to join a team of artistic swimmers.
And this is because of your swan-like heritage,
I think
right?
so,
the
yes.
grace of the swan. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Yes. Yes. And I'd like to also be the choreographer for what we do.
Okay.
Yes.
I can imagine.
And what I was intrigued by most when I was watching them yesterday was they all have the same facial expression and they put lipstick on. So their mouths are like, or the whole time. And they all do the same.
God.
And I thought, this is me. I love that. Yes. Yeah. Now I want to be, of course, the star. You know, the one that does the flips and the flops.
Oh, of course.
Yes,
Well,
definitely.
and you know what? You probably have the right body type for it because you would be easy to toss
I
up
would
in
be
the air.
easy to toss around. Yes.
You know what? Let's try this right
Wait.
now. I'm going to toss Swanee across the studio.
Now, the only thing that I'm gonna, say is I would have to shave my legs more frequently and my underarms.
I don't think it's necessary.
There's just one hairy woman.
No. I think that, you know what? The whole team
Becomes
will
hairy.
have to. Yeah,
Becomes
exactly.
hairy.
And then you're
Yes.
all synchronized.
Right? Yes. How about you? What would your Olympic sport be?
What would my Olympic sport be? I think it would have to have something to do with falling. So like a distance falling event.
How about the pole vault? You get the fall from high in the air.
You know what? I think that would work. That
Right,
would work. And that would be a good way of getting the best distance on your fall too.
Right? Yes.
Hopefully I fall gracefully.
Right.
I
And-
do tend to bounce. I've been lucky with bounces all my life. I
Well,
fall
you
a lot.
do fall into a mat. You do fall into a mat. You just have to hope that there's not someone down there who pulls the mat out.
I've seen that happen at Olympic events quite a few times. Quite a few times. You know, it would be a great Olympic sport though.
What?
Synchronized dog duck diving.
Oh.
Yeah. And we could host it here because
Right,
now
we
we
could.
have a new duck
We
diving
do
pool
have
on
the
the
duck
property.
diving pool,
We have
yes.
just opened it to the public. It's exciting times here.
Exactly. Yes.
I
yes.
had to work dogs in there somehow.
What
so.
about just synchronized dog training?
Oh.
Synchronized. We got to get our dogs too to
Oh.
make the same mistakes at the same time, to do the same good things at the same
I
time.
like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
So we both can be doing a sit placement simultaneously.
and then they'll be hairy too.
Right. Yes. Yes.
So
we
it'll be perfect.
need to get twins then. Twin
Yes.
dogs.
Yes, we do.
Twin dogs.
We do. Maybe even triplets or quadruples.
Now, I was thinking about that the other day.
quadruples?
Do twin dogs, is there ever puppies that are born from the same sack?
Oh, I don't know.
Like identical twins?
Huh, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Huh. I've seen a lot of images of puppies in sacks and
Right, but there's
mamas
never-
breaking them open.
There's
and
never two puppies in a
I've
sack.
never seen two in a sack. That's interesting.
Yeah.
If you know, plunk it in the comments. If you know, about cats might too.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
we know they can have different sires.
Yep.
So
Right. Yeah.
maybe they can have twins and triplets.
Twins.
too.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
How about
Maybe they're all just triplets.
And people have lamb twins, but I wonder, are they?
People have lamb twins?
No. The
That's
farmers,
a talent.
the shepherds have lamb twins. So I wonder if are they born? We could ask Kim McClure; she might know. Are they
Maybe.
born in the same sack, or are they fraternal twins and each have their own sack?
Huh. Well, there you go.
You know what?
This
There's
is-
some deep life questions
yeah,
here.
inquiring minds want to know.
Yes.
So some other things that we are inquiring minds about today is dog training equipment.
Dog training equipment.
Yeah, you know what? I thought that this would be a good opportunity to sit down and talk about some of the equipment that we use and why, some of the specifics and some of the more nuanced things that are reasons that we choose the dog training equipment that we do. And I thought we could talk about just dog equipment in general, not necessarily even related to training, because a lot of the times we talk about equipment for puppies and we don't necessarily talk about how we transition to adult things that are a little bit different,
yes.
and maybe have less of a training application and more of a lifestyle application. So
yeah, and there's a lot of equipment out there that really doesn't work. So
that is correct. Yeah,
it must be overwhelming to go to the pet store and go, what do I truly need for my dog?
Quite honestly,
Yes.
I find it overwhelming to go to the pet store and look at all the options, and I usually know what I'm looking for, but it's overwhelming in kind of a fun way where you go wandering around shopping. Actually, it just reminded me of filming the puppy prep guide where we basically went shopping to help one of our students, Nancy, prep for her new puppy, and we recorded it all for the puppy prep guide. That was fun. But yeah, in there were so many great questions actually that got asked and got discussed, because Nancy was coming at it from the perspective of not having trained a dog before and not knowing what she needed. So now we're standing in the big pet store and looking at walls and walls of stuff.
Right. Yes.
So what stuff is pertinent? What do we need and why?
You should mention too, what is the puppy prep guide? Other than being a tongue twister.
The puppy prep guide is basically it's exactly what it sounds like. It is a guide to help you pep prep. It is a tongue twister. It is a guide to help you prep for your new puppy, and it covers all of the aspects. So it covers things like how to pick the right puppy, how to pick the right breed, what questions to ask the breeder. It covers all sorts of details about shopping, as we just mentioned. And it also covers a lot of the starting things that people are often getting the wrong information and setting up their puppy in the wrong way, and then they end up weathering a bunch of problems that come along with that inaccurate setup. So we have all of those common misconceptions listed, all of the things that we know come up often and have over the years, so that right away we can squash those things and say, don't do that. Do this instead.
Right.
And this is the reason why. We also explain why. So really informative thing.
And Shannon
and Swanee,
where can people access this puppy prep guide?
You can find the puppy prep guide on our online McCann Dogs site. If you go to mccanndogs.com, you can find the puppy prep guide from there. And it is an online program. It's wonderful.
Excellent.
It's an online guide, I should say.
I am going to get this show started, and I'm going to grab a word.
Go grab a word.
Grab a word.
Which word will you grab?
You know what?
What?
I feel like there's more than one word on this.
There's a couple of words.
Okay, and the first word to start us off, poop bag containers.
I thought you were just going to say the first word to start us off, poop.
So poop bag containers are those little plastic poop bag holders. You generally put a roll on there, and people will often attach it to their leash. And
it's cumbersome.
It's cumbersome. You cannot train your dog properly with a poop bag container attached to the leash. So
absolutely,
people will come to classes and have one on, and we get them to take it off for the class. Even walking, I find it in the way.
Yeah.
I tend to put them in my pocket. I put a few in my pocket. Maybe I'll attach the container to my belt loop or something like that. But I tend to keep it off my leash.
That's what the cool kids do.
Right, yes.
That's what cool kids walk with the poop bag container dangling from their belt.
Right, yes, yes. Now, what do you think of them?
I am not a fan of them. I mean, I think they're convenient. If you were to use it as you described, as that cool, belt dangling thing.
Yes, I might get a few of them and belly dance with them.
Woohoo! They're handy for sure, but I would never attach one to a leash. They are just cumbersome. They get in the way. There's a proper way to hold a leash.
Right.
And you know what? Let's talk about that for a second, because a lot of the times people think that loop is to go over your wrist, and it is not. That loop is for you to have control. What you want to do is take your thumb and slide that through the loop and then close your fist, and that will give you a good grip. Now, we can also take some of the excess of that leash and gather it up and put that over your thumb as well, so that your leash isn't quite as long if you need to hold more of it in your hand. But with my hand closed in that leash loop over top of my thumb, I have a solid grip, but I also can use my hand.
Right.
I can use my hand to control and use the leash. Remember that a lot of the times we're in training with our young dogs, and we need to make sure that we do have the dexterity to be able to, do a sit placement, for example. So I need to be able to take control of the leash with my right hand in 2 places. You know, I need to be able to use that leash as something functional. And when it's wrapped around my wrist, I really don't have any control of that.
Right,
It's also dangerous.
Yes.
You know, we see a lot of times people will tell their kids to wrap that leash around the wrist. And then if the dog takes off, the child can't get loose from that scenario.
Yes.
So obviously, children should always be supervised, or they should be physically capable of managing the dog that they have. But dogs are very, very powerful and strong. And when they decide that they are going for something, if you're not ready for that distraction just yet, they're going to go, and you won't be able to get out of that. We've heard of some, not so nice stories to happen.
Shannon, you have diverged from our poop bag container.
Bring us back, Swanee. Bring us back.
I lived in an apartment many years ago, and I had 3 dogs in the apartment, so I needed a lot of poop bags when I left the apartment with 3 dogs. And I had
3 dogs plus you.
Right, yes. I had right at my back door, well, the only door, the apartment door, I had a handy kind of just little crossbody bag, and inside it I had poop bags, and I think I had an extra leash, and just a few little dog items. And as I left, I could grab that and just throw it over, and it just hung around my body, and it was small, so it didn't interfere, but I had everything in there. So Perfect. If I had to make a quick exit out of the apartment building, I had that right there. I could handle 3 leashes with 3 dogs and not have anything cumbersome, but make sure I always had enough poop bags
Perfect.
For all 3 who would sometimes decide to go twice on a walk.
Oh, of course. I have double poopers as well.
Yes.
Both Ned
Right?
and Levon. I'm living with 2 double poopers currently.
Never
so I
just
always
leave
have
the
to
house
have
with
multiple
one.
poop
Yes.
bags. Yeah,
Yes.
and they never go at the same time, of course.
No.
They always go. Like, at least I've finished picking up one, and then I look up and the next one's going. So the bag's already tied.
Right.
It's a done deal.
Oh, that's the worst when you just tied the bag and it's like, oh, come on. Yeah, he does that sometimes. I tie the bag and we take 2 more steps and then he goes. And it's like, now I'm trying to untie the bag. And it's like,
Yeah. And then you have to figure out how to make sure that you're getting your hand in there under the poo that's already in there without dumping it out, picking up the other poo. Yeah, I usually just go for a new poop bag.
See, these are things that people don't discuss with you when you're thinking about getting a dog. You just see the glamorous side. You don't see the unglamorous side.
You're getting the truth here on the Canned Dogs podcast.
And you know what? I have the very odd, not very often, gotten poop on my fingers.
Oh.
And now I'm like 2 miles from home with a poo finger. And it's like, oh, come on. I got to walk home.
Okay. I'm going to add some more glamour to this conversation.
Oh.
I am going to go and get one of those poop bag containers, and I'm going to bedazzle it. And then it will be glamour. And I'm going to attach it to my crossbody bag instead of my leash.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Earrings. Dangly earrings.
Oh. That's Christmas party. Christmas party. We're coming with dangly poop bag earrings.
Or Honda wears a harness sometimes, and I could just dangle them from Honda's harness.
There you go.
Let him carry his own poop bags.
You know what? That would be nice. Hopefully he's not too horrified by it.
He would be.
All right. I have reached back into the box, and I have more words. So this one is house line, drag line. First off, what is a house line?
A house line is a piece of rope that you attach to your dog's collar, maybe about 5 or 6 feet long, and they drag it around the house. It gives you instant control when you need it. It's for untrained dogs.
Absolutely. So to put this in a little bit of perspective here, when our dogs are young, they are never not supervised. Levon right now is just turned 5 months. There's never been a moment where that dog is loose in the house where he is not under my watchful eye, because it doesn't take long for them to get into the wrong thing. They're constantly on the go. They're busy. They're excited. So
why do puppies never get into the right things? Why cannot we take our eyes off them and then we find them sweeping the floor? Why does that never happen?
I don't know. I've not been able to teach my dog to sweep the floor in any sort of consistent pattern.
Exactly. Now, I've seen them licking the floor. Maybe they attempt to wash it. But
it would be really nice if I left the room and came back and it was spotless because my puppy had cleaned up.
Why don't they ever do things like that? We got the wrong animals. We need helper monkeys. Helper monkeys.
I'm going to get one right now.
Remember Homer Simpson had a helper monkey?
Yes,
Remember Albert?
I remember he made him into
Yeah.
a fat sloth
Yes.
too. Oh my gosh. That was a good episode. Very good episode. What was it, Mojo? Was it Mojo?
I can't remember.
Ah,
I can't
anyway.
remember.
All right. Albert will tell us in comments.
Yes.
Alrighty, so house line, drag line. This is something that allows you to take control with your puppy, right? They're quick. They're quick. Levon's 5 months. He's had a couple of incidents of moments where I have been so grateful to have that house line on. 99% of the time, it's annoying at best because it's there and it's in the way. But those
they
couple of
they
times,
get wrapped on things. The puppies chew them.
Yeah.
So they are some work. But
Absolutely.
you're right. When you need them, they're
Yeah.
a godsend.
Absolutely. And they're a godsend because they allow me to catch him, right? And it doesn't take very many times for a puppy going, oh, I got caught by you when I was doing something I shouldn't and saw you coming. It doesn't take very, very many times of that happening before they get wise to it and go,
Yes.
I see you coming. I hightail it out the other way.
Right.
So having that house line on just completely eliminates that whole frustration, right? Of a dog learning to play keep away, a dog learning to say, haha, you can't catch me. I'm going to, slip out the front door and run back and forth so that,
Right.
I can create this game where you're chasing me, etc.
Yes. Or they like to go under the bed.
Yeah.
They like to go behind the couch.
Yeah.
I remember my corgi Gavin, for some reason, would run into the bathroom and go behind the toilet.
Because he probably had so much, his body shape being a corgi,
Right.
you probably had a hard time getting him out of there.
Well, I think he did it once, and then it's like, okay, house line is on you officially now, and then I would watch, and I knew, he's heading towards the bathroom behind the toilet.
Just close the bathroom door.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all.
And then the toilet brush gets knocked over. It's just,
Yeah. So in terms of what type of house line, I like to have something that doesn't have a handle, so it's not going to get caught on things. With your average puppy, I like it to be about 6 feet long. And we have purpose-built ones
Right.
that we specifically have created because we know what we like.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
rather than going to the store and cutting the handle off a leash, why not buy one that's already built? But our goal with the house line is to create something that is easy. It makes our lives easy. So get something that you can clip on easily as soon as you open that crate door, clip the house leash on, let it drag. Okay, it's not meant to be used as a leash. It's not meant to be held in your hand. It's not meant to be used to direct the dog. It's meant to be a safety brake. And in the event that you need to use something to direct the dog, it's there for that purpose.
Right.
But resist the urge to carry it around, right? Resist the urge to think that that is your way of stopping the dog from running further, et cetera, by holding it. The idea behind the house line is that it's there, it's dragging. My puppy goes and says, oh, you know what? That's something on the table that I'm really interested in. Grabs that thing off the table. Maybe it's a hair scrunchie. Let's say a hair scrunchie. I always want to say sock, but then, who's got socks on their kitchen table?
Well,
on their living room table, I guess.
I think if you have teenage boys, yes.
Yes, there you go. I don't have teenage boys, so I don't usually have socks on my table. But say this puppy grabs a scrunchie. Well, obviously, that is something that can pose a danger
Right, yeah.
for them,
For
right?
sure, yes.
Sounds like it's a good, fun toy from the puppy's perspective.
Right, and the puppy would love it because it smells like you. It's got your
Yeah.
hair smell, and puppies love things that smell like us.
Exactly. So my puppy grabs that. I know I need to get it away from him. All I have to do is calmly walk up and step on that line. And then from there, I can address the actual scrunchie, right? I don't need to chase my dog around and try to tackle him and then try to scoop this thing out of his mouth. And in that situation with my puppy, I'm teaching him how to play keep away. I'm teaching him that it's fun to evade me. It's fun, and it creates this engagement in this game in his mind.
Right.
Because puppies love to play keep away,
Yep.
right? We want to do the opposite of that, of course. We want to be able to address issues quickly and easily, and having that line on allows it. So having something that will easily slide around furniture and not get caught on things is going to be the best bet for a house line. If I had a Great Dane puppy, I might want something a little bit longer than 6 feet. I have tollers, so size-wise, their body probably covers about a third of that line. Would that be right? Yeah, I think that'd be about right. Maybe 2.5 feet. So that gives me enough line to be able to step on that and stop the puppy. If I had a bigger puppy, I might need a little bit of a longer line. So the type of line that you use and the length of that line should be something that allows you to catch the puppy. Some puppies are quicker and some puppies are bigger. So get something that works for you.
And I like them, I wash them too. So I usually have a few because, inevitably the puppy's going to, puppies always have accidents.
They do.
And, it's going to drag it through pee or something's going to happen bad. So, you can have a second one while one's in the wash.
How do you wash it?
I put them inside a pillowcase and knock the pillowcase and then wash it because otherwise it would just wrap all around everything. Yes.
So sort of like a laundry bag.
Right, a laundry bag, yes.
Perfect.
And I have long lines for outdoors too. So my indoor long line does not go outdoors because outdoors is dirty.
Yeah.
So yes, so I have a very dirty gray one that is for the outdoors.
Good call. Good call. It's also good to get the puppy used to the whole ritual of you going to the door, having them sit, clipping on a line. Right. So it's good to switch those out. I think that's a good thing for the puppy to practice.
My outdoor ones too are much longer. Yeah, they're much longer because my yard has got lots of places to run around in.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's pick another word. Word to your mother.
Oh. This one is not typed.
I know.
This because
it was an afterthought.
I feel like it's special. It's handwritten.
I had already typed them all out and cut them all up into little squares, and then I thought, I forgot about
a bait pouch.
A bait pouch.
A bait pouch. A bait pouch is a fancy word for treat bag.
Treat sack. Food sack.
Yes.
Quack sack.
So bait pouches are convenient because it's a pocket to put your treats in. I tend to not use bait pouches.
Okay.
I find they're very visual for the dog, so I like to just put my treats in my pocket. And I know it makes me have many gross pockets, but I buy my wardrobe with that in mind. And now if I had something really goopy, I probably would use a bait pouch, but I tend to use like a hoodie pocket, a sweatshirt pocket, pants pockets.
I think I said on the podcast last week, I wash a lot of kibble.
Right. Yes. Yes.
So I actually use both. I like a bait pouch for sometimes, like sometimes when I'm in class, right? And I know I'm going to be going through a lot of treats and I know it's a very concentrated effort. I will use a bait pouch for convenience. Now, some of the qualities we like in a bait pouch, that's something that I really wanted to talk about because there's such a variety of bait pouches out there. There's tiny little things that you squeeze open and stick your fingers in that are little rubber containers. There's giant honkin' things. Honkin'. They honk. There's giant bait pouches. You could use a fanny pack.
I've seen people use Home Depot type aprons.
Yes. I've seen that as well.
They put on their training apron.
Yeah, there you go. You know what? I wonder if we could appeal to like the Pradas of the world to make a dog training. I bet they already do, and I bet it costs like $700 for a bait pouch.
Yes,
we should look into that. See if like Louis Vuitton.
Right.
Look at all these names I know.
Yes.
Who
wow,
knew?
I know.
I've never owned any of these brands, but but I've heard of them before. So yeah, for a bait pouch, we like something that is easy to access the treats from. Right. That would be my number one necessity in a bait pouch.
Right.
I'm not going to have something that has this really shrunken opening. I'm not going to have something that has me having to unfold this, that, and the other to get into it. I am going to have something that is easy to keep open in times that I need quick access to that treat. I also want to have something that's easy to close.
Right.
So I really like those magnetic or the metal closures that sort of like flip in, flip out.
Right. Yes.
That way, when they're open, you can stick your whole hand in them. And when they're closed, you can close it super easily so that when you now need to bend down to call playtime with the puppy or something like that, you don't drop all your treats all over the floor.
We do have treat spills in class. Every once in a while, a student bends over and their treat bag opens up and it's a treat explosion onto the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So something with a nice wide opening, something that is going to securely attach to you. There's a lot that have these tiny little clips and those clips don't work out well when you've got that bait pouch filled with, not filled, but when there's weight of treats in that bait pouch, those tiny little clips fail.
Right, yes.
So get something that has a good secure clip. Sometimes they have lap belts, that's great. Sometimes they have pins. Sometimes they have Velcro closures. Something that is going to securely stay on your waist. And I'll also consider if it's a bait pouch that requires a belt, do you like wearing a belt?
Right.
If you're somebody who likes to wear pants like I'm wearing, like that just crops.
Right, yeah.
I'm not putting a belt on with this, so
Right.
how am I going to wear my bait pouch sort of thing? So
Right.
things to think about.
I find when if I was going to use a bait pouch, I don't think, like, sometimes people will come to class and they have like a pound of wieners cut up in their bait pouch, and it's just so big and awkward
Yeah.
and cumbersome. I would keep my main portion of the treats, I think, in a Ziploc or Tupperware container, and then transfer a few into my bait pouch rather than walk around with a pound of wieners on me.
Well, there's a good tip.
Right, yeah.
You want to know? You want to hear another nuanced tip? And I know you know this one. So I will often use my mouth as my bait
yes,
pouch.
yes.
Boom,
That's
boom.
my
And
favorite.
People are going, what? What did she just say? Did she just mean to say that? Yes, I use my mouth as my
That's
bait pouch.
I tend to always do too. Yeah.
I make sure that my treats are treats that I don't mind putting in my mouth. I will cut up little pieces of wiener, cheese, chicken, and I stuff it in my cheek like a squirrel. And the reason that I do that is because it helps to encourage my dog to focus on my face.
Right.
It's a nice, easy pocket, and I can easily mark yes when my dog has done something I like, and then reach into my mouth and deliver a treat to them. I often call it baby birding, which I just find is a funny term. But yeah, it's a great little bait pouch. So I'll use my pockets at times. I do use a bait pouch at times, and then the good old mouth pouch.
Right. Another thing I've done too with the mouth is food spitting.
Yes.
So you have your dog sit in front of you and you spit a treat out down to them and they catch it in the air. And the dog has to really focus because if they don't catch it, I don't let them get it.
That's right.
So it's
Yeah,
like the
good
only
call.
way to get it is by watching closely.
Yep.
So it really creates a lot of focus.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Make sure your bait pouch is washable.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, that's such a good tip.
Yeah.
Brilliant tip.
Washable. Or at least you can turn it inside out and give it a good cleaning off, because they get, if you're using something gross, it gets icky quick.
It does. I actually, I have a lot of pockets with dried cheese in them as well. But I have a great training vest that has a removable pocket so that you can.
No,
wash
that's
it.
what we
It's
need to get.
fancy.
Yes, we need to
Fancy.
get, the Louis Vuittons of the world to.
The Louis Vuittons. Make me a dog training vest, Louis. Alrighty. Do. Our next words are head halter.
Head halter. Ah.
So we do use head halters in our training. We really like them, but not all head halters are created equally. So if you visit mccandogs.store, you will only ever see the Gentle Leader in our store. And that has been like, I've been with McCann's for 25 years, and that has been the case for 25 years. We really believe in this product. We love the product. It is secure when you put it on the dog.
It'll never come off
A
their
lot
head.
of head halters are not. It does not close their mouth. A lot of head halters closes the dog's mouth when you put pressure into the head halter. And it is adjustable. It is also something that you can wean away from. The Gentle Leader actually has two distinct pieces to it versus a lot of head halters that just have one big mass of head halterness. And they're either on or they're off. With the Gentle Leader, it's on, and then you can slip the nose piece off and turn it into a high riding flat buckle collar. When you're at the point in your training where your young dog is doing great and you no longer think you need the Gentle Leader, you can wean away from it versus just taking it and tossing it completely, which is a really nice benefit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So head halter, good.
Head halter is good. And I believe they're marketed as, I can't recall now. In the U.S., they're marketed as something different, and the name has just slipped out of my head. Anyway, it'll come back.
Yes. Oh, this word is upside down, but I can still read it. It's leash.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to look at that. It is upside down. I don't know how you'd fix that.
I know.
must have typed it upside
I know,
down.
that's so weird. So weird. Luckily, my talents are reading upside
They're
down.
vast.
Yes.
They're vast.
Yes.
All right, so leash. What do you
Leash,
think?
a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. It keeps your dog from running away from you.
And what do you like in a leash?
I like, when I'm training, I like 6 feet long. I find that is a great length for training. And I like a leather leash. I really like leather. Leather
Me too.
feels good in your hands.
It does.
It's non-abrasive. It's got a little bit of stretch to it. As long as you don't let them chew it, you'll have it your dog's entire life.
So my first dog, Quincy, my Rottweiler, she's been gone since, 99 to 2009. So I used a 1-inch leather leash from McCann's with her for her whole life. And it's not far from perfect by the end of her
Right,
life.
yeah.
It's well worn, has a little stretch to it. It's worked in like butter. It's just beautiful to hold. It's an inch, so I don't use it anymore because I don't have dogs that big that need that big of a leash. But it is still beautiful after all these years. Still crazy.
I find we'll have students come to class and they have a 6-foot nylon leash. And especially if they have a large dog that they're having to work hard with, I'll say, you know what, try one of our leather leashes.
Yeah.
And they'll borrow one and they purchase one at the end because
that was literally my story when I started in McCann's with Quincy.
Yeah.
I remember she had a red nylon leash.
I remember she had a red nylon collar. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
That's so funny. Swanee was my instructor in Life Skills 1 when I had my Rottweiler. It was wonderful.
I almost booted her out of class.
Yeah.
But I kept her in for compassionate reasons.
I appreciate that you didn't. It set my life on a definite path. That leather or that was the exact scenario that happened with me. I had her red nylon leash and it was burning my hands because she was powerful already.
Right.
You know, a 4-month-old Rottweiler is no joke when it comes to strength. And of course, we were just learning. So we were struggling through and muddling through with this very powerful dog. And somebody suggested that I try a leather leash. And later on, somebody also suggested I try a gentle leader. And we tried both and they were both wonderful. And they were both very helpful with this very strong and very spirited dog. She was lovely, but oh my goodness, she was full of beans and there was a lot of dog there. So the leather leash made a huge difference. I was able to get a grip. That's the difference.
There's a grip in leather. Yes.
With nylon, it pulls too much. Like it pulls and it burns your hand, so you can't really get that solid grip.
Yes.
And of course, when you're working, your hands get a little bit clammy and sweaty, so that makes it even worse. Right. Whereas with leather, that almost works to your advantage, I would think. I don't know. It makes it more grippy. Yes.
It's like if I'm leading a horse, I would much rather be holding on to a piece of leather than a piece of nylon or cotton or anything like that.
Yeah, and hopefully you have a head halter on that horse because that'll make life easier too.
Right.
If you just have a rope around its neck and it's
or a harness on it. Yeah.
Good luck to you.
Exactly. Yes. So definitely. Leashes are advantageous for training.
They are.
And leather is and I remember back in the olden days, people would buy chain leashes. Do you remember the chain leashes?
I still see them on occasion.
Yeah.
I still see them on occasion.
How can you comfortably hold a chain leash?
I think that people think that they're so strong that the dog won't break them.
Right.
So I suspect that person is not doing a lot of training.
Yes. Yes.
So it also could have to do with nipping. I've heard a lot of people over the years say, I bought a chain leash because he chews the leash.
Oh.
So that is... they're not going to be able to chew through that, but you really don't have any dexterity or control trying to mangle a chain.
And they're not addressing the problem.
Exactly.
They're just putting a Band-Aid on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. There's just one word on this paper. Balls.
Oh,
That's
balls.
It. Balls. There's so many different types of balls in the world. Do your dogs? Well, I know Atari had a soccer ball you used to talk about all the time.
Yes, Atari loved to play soccer. So, actually, it wasn't. Well, we had a heavier soccer ball, but her favorite ball was the ones you buy at Walmart for kids, like to have, those really light ones, because she could push that with her nose so easy.
Okay.
And she loved soccer balls, and she loved pushing balls with her nose. She also loved balloons too, and she didn't break them. She would pick them up by the nubby on the end. Aww. And run around the house with them and bang them with her head. And
bless her little heart.
She had so much. The odd time they'd pop, but she would just we'd blow up another one, and off she'd go again.
So she wasn't afraid if they popped.
No. She'd look right at me like, hey, get me another one.
Yeah, let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
I wonder how much it surprised her when they were just suddenly gone.
She didn't appear. She was just like, she took it in stride. It's like, oh well. And
there was, I have a story from my youth. We were up at the cottage. I used to have a cottage. Don't have it anymore. We used to have a cottage, and it was on the water, and we would just float around for part of the day on inner tubes. And out of the blue, one of my inner tubes popped, and I just went into the water.
I thought this was going to be a dog story. That just took me off guard.
No, it was just a me being now, my graceful self story.
Were you surprised?
I was very surprised.
Now, were you worried that it was a fish underneath that had popped it purposely to have you for dinner?
I don't remember thinking that. I did see a few snapping turtles up there, but for the most part, it was Muskoka, so it was fairly clean lake, and I wasn't too worried about creatures in there. But it wasn't without its creatures, so
Right.
it certainly could have been.
Yeah.
And they're all laughing down there. There's a whole bunch of them. They're like, you go do it, you go do it. And then, I bet that's exactly what
Right.
happened.
Yes.
Balls in the water.
Right.
Balls are great for water retrieves.
Yes.
Something that I always end up talking about with balls
Mm-hmm.
is tennis balls. And they are usually the magical orb of joy.
Dogs
is what I call
love
them.
tennis balls.
They
yes.
love them. Absolutely love them. But here's the thing. They're not good for dogs. They're very abrasive. The material that they're made out of is very abrasive on their teeth.
Right. It's like sandpaper.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can tell dogs that have used tennis balls all their lives by the time they get to a little bit of an older age, sometimes just, 6 or 7,
Right.
you see damage to their teeth caused by tennis balls. So road hockey balls are better. Things that are, a smoother plastic, you can get special chuck-it balls.
Right. Now,
You had a caveat about that.
yes. Now, do be careful. Some of the small chuck-it type balls, so small little rubber balls, can just slide right down a dog's throat. You get like a goopy ball and a dog that's, all wet, and that ball can just go right down their throat. Having worked at a veterinary emergency hospital, we saw some balls go down dogs' throats and not with good results because they plugged the windpipe perfectly.
Oh.
So get a larger,
Yeah.
don't be very careful with balls.
So do you think that those balls would be safe for any size of dog? Like
Small, I
like
think,
Chihuahua, maybe?
yeah, like I would say, maybe a dog, even Honda, I would worry that if the
I feel
ball's
like it would
wet,
be the perfect size to go
Yes.
down Honda's throat.
and a lot of times it was like German Shepherds and Golden Retrievers with these balls that are just too small
Yeah.
for their mouths, and they're slippery when they get wet, and dogs' mouths are wet, and down they go. So buy balls a size too big.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
make the dog really have to open wide.
call.
Yes,
Good
and
call.
be very careful with these solid rubber ball. Like I cringe when I see them in the pet stores.
Oh, yeah. That is a little scary.
Yes.
Definitely too. Something else that just occurred to me. I've seen several memes over the years of there's a ball. I can't recall who makes it, but there's a ball and it has a little hole in it. And that hole ends up suctioning onto
right.
dogs' tongues and onto their cheeks and whatnot.
Oh,
so
yes.
if you have a ball that has a hole, make sure that it has a second hole so
Right.
that the air can continue to pass through that and
Yes.
they don't end up getting sucked in.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite balls for dogs is the Holy Roller. And
Oh,
we
yeah, I
do
love
have
the Holy
If anyone
Roller.
is visually watching, I have a Holy Roller in my hands
As opposed
right
to
now.
audibly watching.
Yes, and these come in different sizes. You can get smaller ones, bigger ones. They also come in different shapes. There's football-shaped ones. There's a few different shapes. Now, a dog will chew through this in 3 seconds, so they're not a chew toy, but they're a fabulous throw toy. They're soft. If you bunk your dog on the head or your husband on the head by mistake, fine, no problem. You can also
By mistake, of course. I'm glad you
yes.
clarified that.
You can get a grip and you can play tug.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
I love that you can tug with them.
Right, you
because
could
and
tie
it's
a
so
rope.
easy. I find that these are great. Once a puppy has a good sort of understanding of retrieve, I love using the Holy Roller because they can grab anywhere and then you can grab anywhere to
Right.
get that tug going
Yes,
on.
yes.
Really like those.
Yeah, and
Sorry,
can-
you were going to say
yeah,
put a rope?
I've tied ropes to these. I have opened it
Make
up
it a tug, like a
and
long
put
tug.
I've opened it up and put another ball inside it just so it gives a bit more weight so I can throw
Yeah.
it even further.
That would be a good idea for our dogs that love tennis balls because
Right.
then they're not actually making as much contact with
The tennis ball, yes. So a Holy Roller is definitely a great toy. And when my son was young, we played with them. Like, they're great to play with little toddlers too because they're soft. They're easy for your child to catch
be
and
like a
grab.
Nerf ball.
Yeah, like it's an easy ball for kids to grab and play too. So they're not just for dogs. Children as well.
Holy Roller, I hope you're marketing to children as
Right?
well.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
an
goodness.
easy ball. So definitely a great ball.
Excellent. I do love a good Holy Roller.
And they come in lots of colors.
They do. Magical orbs of joy.
Yes, and tennis.
safe.
Another thing about tennis balls, if your dog squashes it enough, they eventually fall apart.
Yeah, they do.
And then some dogs will ingest it, and now they have a ball or a tennis ball in their stomach, and that happened to one of our instructors.
Yeah, it did.
Yes.
It did. Just picked up a random piece of tennis
Yeah,
ball. She
that-
thought it had been run over by the lawnmower out there, actually, and that's where the dog had found it and picked it up. But yeah, that'll cause blockage too.
Right. Yes. So balls are a lot of fun, but do supervise with the ball. Yes.
Absolutely. All righty. Our next one.
Harness.
That's my drum well.
Harness.
All right.
So harnesses have their place.
They do.
But they're not effective for training dogs.
Agreed.
They're not effective for training. So Honda at 15 wears a harness quite often, but he is a trained dog.
Yes.
So, he's lost his hearing, but before he lost his hearing, he listened well to my voice. He kind of earned the right to wear a harness. It gives you something, if they have a handle on them, sometimes it gives you like a little handle to grab.
Yeah.
He wears one in the car as a seatbelt. He's got a seatbelt harness. If I was going to be doing any sort of pulling work with my dog, there's sports called scajoring. There's weight pulls. Then of course your dog's going to wear a harness.
Yes.
But
Yeah. I use one for scent work.
Right? Yeah. But for training a puppy the basics or a new dog the basics, a collar is effective.
Could not agree more. It's going to give you the best control for sure. We've talked a lot about harnesses before, so I won't get into too much of the nitty gritties, but I completely agree with everything you said. I think that for a training application, they're very, very limited because they limit your control, but for all sorts of other reasons, they can come into play once the dog has good training and good listening skills, for sure.
And some harnesses actually damage your dog. A lot of the ones that are marketed as no-pull harnesses, they almost hobble the dog.
Yes.
They cross the shoulders, so the dog can't extend its shoulders.
Yeah.
Imagine us trying to walk and something's constantly holding you back.
Yeah, absolutely. And over time, that causes issues.
Exactly, yes. So a lot of times if something's marketed as no-pull, it ultimately it will damage your dog.
That's right.
So so beware of them. Nothing replaces good old-fashioned rolling up your sleeves and training your dog.
That is a fact. A very, very good one. All righty. Next one up is nail care. All right. I got a lot to say about nail care.
Is it human nail care?
Human nail care. Yeah, my manicure. I was going to say pedicure. As I was looking at my fingers, my manicure. That's how much I get those done. Nail care is so important for dogs. And a lot of the times people don't really understand how negatively it impacts the dog when their nails are not properly trimmed. And if you can imagine, dogs, the support that dogs put on their foot is supposed to land on those pads. If their nails are cut to a proper length, the pads make great contact with the ground. And the foot stays in this lovely shape to support the body. Because, of course, the foot is taking all the pressure of the body. So it needs to be well cushioned. It needs to be, it needs to be a nice foot for the dog to have good support through their whole body, right? I mean, we all know, any of us that have feet trouble, right? We know this impacts our entire body.
Right.
When my feet are sore, generally my back is sore as well. Like it's not just about my feet. This connects my whole body. So now back to the dog's foot. If you picture the foot with a nice trimmed nail, you can see those pads touching the ground. If you picture the foot with nails that are too long, when those nails start touching the ground and you start hearing them, that is the nail making contact with the ground.
Yes.
And when it's just lightly making contact with the ground, it's probably not going to be an issue. But as it gets longer and longer and it takes more space, it ends up taking the pressure with the ground, and that pushes the toe out of alignment. So now instead of having this nicely padded toe firmly on the ground with lots of cushion, now you've got this sort of splayed toe that is putting pressure on the back instead of on the pad.
Right.
And over time, that is going to do serious damage to your dog's foot.
Yes.
So if you are only trimming nails, when you go to the vets every, maybe you go for specific nail trims more often, but if you're only trimming nails once every couple of months, your dog is getting into that damage zone.
Yes.
How often do you do nails?
I try to do them every week, at the very least every 2 weeks.
Yeah, me too. If I have a dog that I'm trying to establish shorter nails with, I'll actually cut twice a week.
Right, yes.
But I cut minimum once a week.
Right.
I like scissors, the scissor style of clippers.
Yeah.
I've not used guillotine styles much in my life. I find that they are, they're good for getting a clean cut, but you have to they're
awkward.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
you
awkward.
have to get in on the right angle. When I trim toenails, I like to take several cuts. I take a little bit off the front of the nail, and we have videos on this if anybody is looking for help with a visual of how to cut nails properly. I take a bit off the front, I take a bit off each side, and then I take a diagonal cut off the top. And that is what is going to shape the quick to actually get shorter and shrink back in the nail, which is going to enable me to get the nails shorter over time. So if I'm trying to get the nails shorter, doing it twice a week and frequently causing that quick to recede a little bit is going to help me get to that finish line much sooner. Now, I like enough nail that my dog can use it. So I do have dogs with short nails. I like them short, but not so short that they're just stubbies. You know, I like my dog to be able to use them climbing out of the water. Like I do a lot of field work with my dogs. They need to be able to navigate banks with a wet, heavy duck in their mouth. My dogs have dew claws as well. So those are something that are very important to pay attention to because they don't ever make contact with the ground. So they just keep growing, and they'll grow in this actual coil. And grow right back into the dog if you leave them.
If you have like a doodle type breed too, some people I think don't even know they're there. So really dig into your dog's inside wrist, and you're going to find a nail there. And they can get really wound up in their fur and that too. Like I know with him, when his fur is longer, like I often will have to brush around there to make sure it's not matting around the dew claw.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even know that would mat. That's a problem I've never experienced. So do you ever use a Dremel?
I have never used a Dremel, but I'm interested in learning how to use one and using one. With him, with his furry little feet, I've always been afraid that a hair will get caught in the Dremel. But, you know, all my other breeds have been short-haired breed. Well, my Sheltie was long-haired, but still the paw's short-haired. Yeah. So I could have used a Dremel. So I'm definitely interested in a Dremel. So that's something I think, you know, in the future I might introduce when I get a new puppy.
Awesome. Awesome. So I haven't introduced a Dremel yet to Levon. He's great with having his nails trimmed with the scissors. I do love the Dremel. I don't use it all the time. I do find that you can take off more in a shorter period of time with the scissors. So most of the time I go with the scissors, but I used to really want to use a Dremel, and I couldn't get past the smell. So to myself and a lot of other people, but not everybody. So weigh in on whether or not you think
light a scented
candle smells like burning hair. Yeah, I could.
Light a scented candle while you do it, set the mood.
That is burning hair flavor or burning hair scent.
Oh, another tip too. This is for the over 50 set.
Oh, I'm not there yet.
Get your cheater glasses and put them on and have good, strong light. Yes. Yeah, so I wear like cheater like good, strong cheater glasses. Okay. So I have great close-up vision, and I sit under a light. I've even set up a flashlight. My son used to do adventure running, and they would do a lot of orienteering type things after dark, even in the forest. And he would have a big hat with a light on it, and I would wear that hat with the light on it too. As I like, So that's only for over 50, Shannon. You can't. That's not you yet.
I'll join that club in a few years.
In a few years, yes. Then we'll give you your box of lights and cheater glasses.
I definitely do put on my glasses when it's time to trim toenails. I can't do it without anymore. Right. Oh my goodness. So that was my story when I went to the eye doctors. I was like, I'm starting to notice my up close vision is failing when I'm trimming toenails, and the room went silent. And I was like, oh, I forgot I'm not with my usual people. She thinks I mean my toenails. I clarified.
I never thought of that, but I guess I do put on my glasses for my toenails too.
Oh, I could probably do my own toenails without my glasses, but I am also going by feel. So
right, yeah.
All right. So the Dremel. We have a great video. Instructor Robbie made a fabulous video about the Dremel. So I was in this mindset where I couldn't get past the smell, and actually when I saw that video, I thought, I really want to be able to smooth out my dog's nails like that. Like that would be so, so nice. I'm going to give it another go. And I did. And I pushed through the smell thing. I still smell it. Yeah. But I pushed through. And now I'm okay with it. Right. Not that I'm okay with it. I still find it a little repulsive to smell it. But I've gotten used to it enough that I don't have to turn off the Dremel and move away.
I said, I'm buying you a scented candle. I know your Christmas gift.
What kind of scent is it going to be?
It's going to be a relaxing major cover-up scent. All right. I don't know what. I'm going to go to Bath Bed and Beyond or whatever the store is called. And
I think they're closed down now,
are they? I think so.
Pretty sure they
Bath
went
and Body
bankrupt.
Works at the mall.
There you
I'm going to
go.
go there and ask for their strongest candle.
All right, sounds good. All right, our next word coming out is...
The next word is a collar for an adult dog.
Ooh, good. We got the adult dog before
Right.
the puppy in the collar department.
So for an adult dog, I like a buckle collar. I find the snap together plastic ones, we've seen them break apart. Not to say that, they're not all made equal. There are some that are probably very good, but I like a buckle collar. It's on my dog. I know it's on my dog. Now for an adult dog, the sky's the limit for a buckle collar. I could buy leather. I could buy nylon. I could buy, cotton, whatever I want. Now, for an adult dog, though, that's not finally trained and I'm still working, I would probably buy nylon just because leather stretches a little bit.
Yeah, it
I
does.
find a leather collar can really stretch.
A little bit of stretch is really nice in a leash, but in a collar, you want something that is really solid.
Right. Yes. So for a trained dog, I like leather collars. For an untrained dog, I like nylon. And I also like, for untrained dogs, adjustable too. So I can get it nice and snug, like I'd wear a belt.
Yeah.
And then as they get older, I can loosen that off a little bit. But a snug nylon collar is best for training an adult dog.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, and I just pulled out the collar puppy because I thought we were kind of covering some of the puppy stuff as well. So we might as well talk about both of them at the same time. With my puppies, I'm absolutely adamant. I need to have a buckle. I'm with you 100% on that.
None of the plastic snaps.
None of the plastic snaps with my youngsters. Once I get to the point where my dogs have good verbal control and I know that I can rely on my voice in almost, any situation where I am physically in the same vicinity with my dog, I am confident that I'm going to be able to say their name and get them to focus back on me. At that point, I like a snap.
Oh, yeah?
I do. I like a snap.
Yeah.
So I still make sure it's a really strong snap because that caveat that you mentioned is a really important one.
Right.
We see a lot of, especially the designer looking collars, right? Whenever you are looking at dog training equipment, typically if you're looking at the flashy, really fun looking, really cute or whatever type of equipment, chances are that's what their focus is, not the integrity of the equipment.
Right.
Whereas if you're looking at something that's maybe a little bit boring, it's just one plain color, but it's a really good, solid, secure collar, that's the thing that I would go for with the puppy. And in that same vein, the utilitarian collar is going to be the one that has the good secure buckle versus the fancy, designer looking collar that has a very weak clip.
Right.
So if you do go with a clip of any sort, whether you have a puppy or an adult dog, I would make sure that I was very confident that physically I could not just easily pull that thing apart. There are some clips that are really secure and there are some clips that are just a waste of time. So, do a little bit of manipulating with the collar in the pet store.
I mean, some of them twist at them. And
some of them are made of metal.
Right.
And they're not coming apart.
Right.
Like, that's great. That's fabulous. That's a good, secure snap type of collar. But some of them are just really, really weak and it won't take much to pull them apart.
Right.
So
Yes.
make sure that you know what is going to happen with that collar should your dog lunge at the end of the leash and, put a lot of pressure into that collar.
Right.
Alrighty. Oh, last one.
Last question. Last word.
Last word. And it's 2 words.
Long line.
Long line. So
we touched a little bit on long lines.
we did, yeah. So I wanted to talk specifically about what we like in a long line.
I like length.
I like it to be long.
I like it
And
also
I like
to
it
be a line.
line-like. Good call. I like my long lines to be comfortable to hold, easy to grab. I don't ever want to have a nylon long line. Never. Why?
They can burn your hands. Burn.
Have you had nylon long line burns?
I had a nylon long line burn on my leg once, and it actually it cut into my leg and left a nasty burn.
Yeah.
I had a scar for a long time.
That was from Cowboy, right?
Yeah, from Cowboy. Yes,
I remember that.
Yes, we had her out dragging her long line, and it was a piece of nylon rope, and it was one of the first times we had her loose in a big field, and I was confident, but my parents were with me. And my parents weren't quite as confident in this Saluki bred to runs. And I guess they weren't confident in their daughter's abilities to dog train.
Oh,
no. Parents are protective. And this wasn't that long ago. Well, it was long enough ago. And I remember Cowboy started running. And I'm like, I'm not concerned. I feel very strongly that I have a recall. But my dad started to panic.
Oh, no.
And he picked up the line. And just as Cowboy kind of went around and it ended up running across my leg. And I remember yelling at my dad, drop the line as it tangled around my thigh.
My whole body's just like got that icky tingling feeling just thinking about it because it hurts so bad.
It hurts. Yes. And I know my dad was just a little bit, we were up north. We were like kind of in a wilderness area. So if we had lost her, she was gone for sure. And they didn't know Cowboy.
Just reaction. Yeah,
it was a reaction. I didn't, I lived, in my own home. I didn't live with my parents when I was an adult. And so they didn't know Cowboy, but they just knew the breed has a tendency to go. So yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was just he panicked and was trying to be helpful, but ended up wounding his daughter.
Oh, geez. Oh, dear. I bet he felt bad.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So nylon, I've had a couple of nylon burns myself, and that's why I have this feeling in my body right now that's just awful thinking about your story here. So avoid nylon. It burns. If you're going with something of that type of material, cotton web is much more forgiving.
Yes.
I think it still will burn as well. I've never tested that theory.
I've had a cotton web pulled quickly through my hands, and it didn't mark my hand, but I felt it.
Okay,
yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because it's a natural fiber. It would have to have something in there.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah, so it better than nylon. I love the neoprene. Neoprene?
Neoprene? Oh, biothane.
Biothane. Oh my gosh, where did I? Neoprene is something else. It's a different type of material.
I think it's what they use to make scuba diving outfits.
Well, there you go.
There you
go. That makes good leash. Yeah, the biothane.
Right, yes.
I've been using biothane for decades for field work because when you have a good quality biothane, when it is wet, it is not slippery.
Right.
So I have foot-long tabs, for example, that I'll use for water work. I've got 6-foot leashes that are biothane that I'll use for water work. And then I have long lines that are biothane that I'll use for water work as well. But I also find that it's a nice, strong material. It's got good grip. Like it hits all those boxes of the things that we like in our equipment, be it our long lines.
It's washable too. Like you could, if it goes through a puddle of pee, you can, give it a good rub off and it'll be nice and clean.
You know what else?
What?
You can also imprint in it. So I have some that I won from various events. I've got a couple that have the name of those events in them. I've got ones that are branded with a stamp. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
So you could order one. I'm sure there's lots of people that do this. You could order one and have a
stamp
of your dog's name put on it or something cool like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I like them to be, if I'm using my long line for, like in the yard, I'll use a piece of rope. My yard's fenced and all that. So I'll use just a piece of clothesline type rope with clip attached to it. And then if it gets dirty or chewed, I can toss it out and cut a new one. But if I'm out and about in areas outdoors where there is a chance that I'm going to need more control, then I do want something that feels better in my hands too. So, but I still like it to be light. I don't buy a big clunky, 1-inch long line. I like something light that kind of gives the dog the feeling that, am I on leash or off leash? I like that light feeling.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree. And then I'll actually get to the point where once my dog is really reliable, I'll use something as thin as like a parachute cording that it is so not obvious to the dog, and it's really easy to wean away from. I can also take that parachute cording and just cut bits off of it, right? So maybe I have a 12-foot long line initially, or a 20. Well, hello, Honda. I hope you enjoyed your nap. Maybe I have a 20-foot long line initially, and I'm trusting my dog more and more, and they're getting more and more mature and better trained. And I might cut off 3 feet. So now I have 17 feet, and then I might cut off 2, and now I have 15 feet in my math. Ooh, look at it go.
Right. Yes.
Then I might get down to the point where I only have that tab on the collar. And the worst thing that happens is I have to get another piece of parachute cord, or I can tie those pieces back together if it's not a total
Right. Yes.
Total wreck.
Yes.
If I'm not down to the 1 foot tab at that point, I can probably tie the pieces back together and continue to work away with that line.
Right.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Well,
I don't want to cut up my expensive biotherm
No.
line,
And they're good for elderly dogs too. Like at 15, Honda's completely deaf. And he can move surprisingly quick for an elderly dude. And he drags a long line all the time now. I still want him to be able to go out. You know, we have a huge property here in McCann's, but I don't want him to get lost on the property.
Yeah, well, and he can't hear. So.
Right? I can't call him back without his hearing. So he drags. He's got a bright red long line that he drags along behind him. And, then if he does say,
It's like a race car.
Right. If he suddenly decides, I'm going to run over to that far bush over there, and I don't want him to go, then
Not the far bush.
Yeah. That's the worst bush. I can just jog up behind him and gently step on the line, and then hey, give him a hand signal to get him back to come towards me.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh my
Honda?
goodness. Well,
I know he's looking upset. He's like, "What? There's a far bush I could go to?"
Yeah. Where's that far bush? Tell me more. I've been looking for a good bush.
There
Honda,
we go.
are you going to add anything to the podcast this week?
Sounded a bit disgruntled. He's like, "You guys didn't talk about cookies. Let's talk about cookies."
What would you like to talk about cookies? I didn't include treats in there. I could have. My favorite treats for dogs would be, you know what? I use a lot of cheese. I use a lot of chicken.
I like the dehydrated liver.
I do like dehydrated
I like dehydrated
liver. As
liver.
well.
Yes. Yes, I
we were
like that.
talking about that too.
Right. I think I've mentioned before, I will sometimes buy a beef heart from my butcher and boil it, then slice it up, dry it out in the oven a bit by baking.
Snacks.
Then chop it up teeny weeny, throw them all in the freezer, bring them out as I need them, and it's healthy. It's one ingredient. It's not full of colors and molasses and chemicals.
Yeah. And they're cut up teeny weeny for your little dog. See, I have
Exactly,
medium-sized dogs, so I would only cut them up teeny weeny.
Right. Yes, I do. I go teeny weeny. Yes. Yeah. And I find beef heart's not that expensive, and it lasts a long time.
Yeah.
So I think it's a dynamite treat. And I don't know why more people don't do it.
Yeah.
I guess it's the cooking process.
Big beef heart. That's all. That's all I have to say. And now everybody knows why people don't do it.
My son Ty used to call it heartbeat when he was little.
Heartbeat.
Yeah, he always called it heartbeat. He goes, "Let's give Cowboy some of her heartbeat."
Oh, bless his heart.
Yes.
What a cutie. All right. On that note, I'm Instructor Shannon.
Instructor Sweaty.
Happy training.
The McCann Dogs Podcast is brought to you by McCann Professional Dog Trainers. We help dog owners to have a well-behaved, four-legged family member. Please give us a call at 905-659-1888 or visit us at mccanndogs.com. Happy training!